we got a video from Deandre Ayton. What was that, yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday. It was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Can't even remember.
Well, you guys know which one we're talking about. If you don't, we're going to play it for you. Now we'll talk about it.
I can feel the whole world hating me in a way where I think I'm the guy a lot of people point at, and I see it and feel it. But mainly what I've been working on 5 to 6 days a week since we've lost is just motivating myself to change the narrative of what people think about me. You know, because no matter how you put it, I feel like I have no fans out here. You know, and I can feel it because the whole world's saying it. And my goal this whole summer is to change the narrative. Just unlock whatever it is and just completely just focus on me and change the whole thing.
So we got this video from DA first, obviously a little bit more of a somber feel to it. Before we share our opinions, James Jones was asked about DA's comments, and here's what he had to say.
That's just DA speaking candidly. I do know he's been in the gym relentlessly this summer, working on all those things that he talked about. He like all the rest of us, we have a chip on our shoulders. We felt like last year we had an opportunity that we didn't capitalize on, and that we need to be better. And if we are better, and if we all come back this season in the best form and in the best shape, that we give ourselves a legitimate shot to win a title. And so he understands what's in front of us. And I think that's him maturing and understanding that in order for us to be an elite team, he has to take another step forward.
Frank.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So DA got real candid.
Mm-hmm.
James Jones understands it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what comes from all of this.
I took this in a different way than a lot of people, I think. And to me, that felt drastically different than what we've heard from DA in the past. And I know, Gerald, you said at times you saw him like this in the locker room. This is the first time, to me, this feels more, I don't know if downtrodden is the right word, but mental health is very close, near and dear to my heart due to some things that family members have gone through. And when I see a guy sitting there talking the way he is, talking about the entire world hating him, I turn to the personal side. I don't think basketball. I don't think, oh, if only the guy worked harder, which are all valid criticisms of the professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I hear that, and I felt the human side of it, and almost the sad, like there was a sadness
it was sad.
to it.
Like when I first watched it, I was like, man, that's sad.
And it reminds me that these athletes are human, and that while we feel like we're saying things into a vacuum sometimes, right? That we're talking about these entities that aren't human beings necessarily. They're just basketball players. No, they hear this. It does impact them. If he truly feels like there's nobody in his corner, that's not the easiest place to be in, regardless of if you have $33 million a year coming.
It's also not the easiest place to get out of.
Yeah. And he's 24 still, right? He's a guy trying to figure out how to make his way and make his mark in something. And I understand it. He has a world of talent. He has a world of ability. He hasn't put it together. I understand all those things, and that is in part on him. But man, still being 24, thinking that way, that's tough.
It's a complicated issue for me because there are very much two sides to this, and I agree with both of them. I do think if you go on Twitter and if you search Deandre Ayton's name, you're going to see a lot of criticism of his game, which I think is fair. And you're going to see a lot of vile comments that cross the line and attack who he is as a person, his mindset, his mentality. And that, for me, is why when in this job, you're going to have players that struggle. You're going to have players that don't play well. You're going to have guys even in the locker room that maybe aren't necessarily the best guys. For me, I have always tried to approach this job as just looking at the basketball side of the equation and never going at an athlete's personality or who they are, because these are guys that, you know, I have to ask questions to. I have to write stories about. Sometimes they see some of the things you write or say about them. And for me, it's never a personal thing. So anytime that I've gotten up here and criticized DA, it's always been about his game. And I think if a lot of fans adopted that mindset, it would be a healthier place. But I also understand his feeling and the fans' feeling that he hasn't played up to par. And that's where a lot of the disappointment comes from. And I think he's definitely feeling the negativity from last season, from the last playoff run. And rightfully so, because we've talked about it on the show. He needs to be better. But the people that are coming after him personally, that is where I draw the line. That is where I have a problem. And that's where, as someone who talks to this guy on a pretty much a weekly basis, we did see him downtrodden like this multiple times last year, especially during that month-long stretch where the Suns just could not win a game. And him and Mikal were kind of being asked to step up as the number one or the number two option. You could tell it was weighing heavy on everybody's mind. Mikal, who's usually one of the most lively people in the locker rooms, was downtrodden. This feels similar to that. I think he's aware of the things that people have been saying about him. I think he's aware that a lot of Suns fans wanted him traded. And I do feel sorry for him on a human element. At the same time, if he comes out and does his job and plays well, and if Vogel can get through to him and he gets it together on the defensive end, a lot of that criticism is going to go away. The hate is not going to stop. And there are always going to be people that hate on you. We see it with Devin Booker, who's a certified superstar, an MVP candidate, and people are still going to find ways to hate on you. My thing is, you can silence a lot of the doubters, a lot of the skeptics, a lot of the critics by going out there and just rocking this season, because his role does not have to be a high volume role. It's not going to be one where he's getting a lot of usage. But if he's a star in his role, like Frank Vogel has talked about, if he locks in defensively, and if this team wins games, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the complaints that we heard last year, I think are going to go away.